Critics call it the cure, quote unquote, that only makes you worse. Reparative therapy is the official name for treatment that aims to turn someone who is gay straight. And now it's been banned in California. This is the first state in the nation that's done this for kids and for teenagers. Governor Jerry Brown signed this ban into law over this past weekend, and he tweeted about it. Let me read one of his tweets. Quote, "This bill bans non-scientific, quote, therapies that have driven young people to depression and suicide." Joining me is David Pickup, a reparative therapist and spokesman for the National Association of Research and Therapy of Homosexuality. He is getting mic'd up. We'll bring him in just a moment. Also with me right now is CNN's senior medical correspondent, Elizabeth Cohen. So, Elizabeth, as we await David, just begin with what we know about this so-called reparative therapy.
Well, the American Psychological Association had a task force that took a long look at this, and here's what they came up with. They said there are no good studies showing that it works or doesn't work. So no good studies showing that this works. They say some people have been harmed by it, depression, other problems. And this is a quote, "There is insufficient evidence to support the use of psychological interventions to change sexual orientation."
Okay.
Plainly spoken.
Hold that thought. We have David. David, you with me?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Hi, David. Nice to have you on and welcome. Of course, we brought you on because I want to get your reaction to this legislation, this now law in effect in California. But first, just explain to me, as a reparative therapist, give me an example. Parents come to you, let's say in the case of a minor, and what do they say? What do they ask for?
The parent asks for, first of all, what fits for the child. The parent says that the child is distressed, usually because he's had something happen to him in his life that has caused his homosexual feelings. And the child, who is the client, most importantly, confirms that and says he needs help because he's distressed over homosexual feelings.
So that's an example of what a potential client, a potential patient comes to you and seeks help. But this is personal for you, David, because you're not just a therapist. You underwent this treatment, and from what I understand, this is still a journey. Can you explain why you sought this therapy?
Yes, reparative therapy. Now, I'm talking about authentic reparative therapy. The other side of this issue will label this quackery and put this all in a ring of things that just aren't true. But I'm talking about authentic, profound, in my case, psychodynamic reparative therapy. Reparative therapy helped save my life. My depression, clinically depressed twice, went down. My anxiety went down. My self-esteem went up. My confidence in my own gender identity went up and was more secured in me over a period of years with this therapy. I was sexually abused as a child and emotionally abused. And so if I was still a minor and not allowed to undergo treatment for something that for me did not represent who I was, then it would be an egregious abuse, in my opinion.
David,
so that's what happened to me, is that I had success.
And I am sorry to hear about your abuse, but were you gay and wanted to be straight?
No, I was never gay identified. I was one of the, like there are many thousands of people all over the world, probably multiple thousands, who believe that for them there's a cause and effect nature of homosexuality. And usually it's happens because of a severe gender identity inferiority, lack of emotional unmet needs from the time one is a child, from usually the same-sex parent. And there's a lot of inner wounds that we discover in therapy. The short version is when those wounds get healed, the homosexual feelings, we don't force them away. They naturally, spontaneously dissipate.
David, I have to press you on that because let me just first quote the governor of California, because you mentioned the word quackery, and I know there are a lot of people out there shaking their heads thinking there is no way that this could possibly work. Let me just quote the governor. "These practices have no basis in science or medicine, and they will now be relegated to the dustbin of quackery." Your governor, David, is calling what you do quackery. Can you just react to that and tell me how this new law will affect what you do?
Yes, let me tell you what kind of governor we have now. So for instance, if a child is, let me tell you first, any good, competent therapist knows that homosexual feelings can result when one, I'm talking about boys right now, when one is raped or sexually molested. Later in life, those feelings come up. So what our governor has decided now that he knows best, that the kind of profound, effective therapy is quackery that handles this kind of situation.
David, how about the American
So
Psychiatric, forgive me, but the American, I'm just going to add on to the governor, the American Psychiatric Association says the potential risk of so-called reparative therapy is great, including depression, anxiety, self-destructive behavior. Reparative therapy, this is the Truth Wins Out, a gay advocacy group. Reparative therapy is junk science being used to justify religious beliefs. A lot of people disagree
and
with
you didn't admit, and you did, including the APA, because you didn't quote them correctly. You didn't quote the conclusions of their findings, which says there is no proof that SOCE causes harm.
Let me bring in,
None.
I
That's
appreciate you
quoting
telling
them.
me I'm misquoting something, but I am quoting something correctly. And Elizabeth Cohen, let me just bring you in. This is our senior medical correspondent. We were talking about this before. Can you respond to that?
Right. The American Psychological Association, I have their report right here, and they say there is insufficient evidence to support the use of psychological interventions to change sexual orientation.
Exactly.
And they say some people say they've been
Insufficient
harmed.
evidence.
And sir, I want to ask you a question because you said something that was intriguing. You said if a boy is abused by a man, therapy will help him get out of any homosexual feelings that he has. Well, if a girl is raped by a man, do we give her therapy to get rid of heterosexual feelings? I mean, the therapy is to get over the
certainly
abuse, not the orientation.
No, I'm not going to even answer a question like that. That's irresponsible. We do competent therapy that truly works. And for the governor to sign into law that continues the potential, unconsciously, unintentionally, but continues the sexual abuse and the heartache of these children who walk into my office who are crying, depressed, lonely, gender identity confused and sexually confused. For them to have a bill that says, no, we can't even talk about these issues, we can't do anything to help these children resolve their homosexual feelings and maximize their heterosexual potential, that's the height of political and therapeutic irresponsibility.
Sir,
it's an
maybe they're
egregious
upset.
law.
Maybe they're upset about it because their parents have rejected them. Maybe they're upset about them
That's
because
not what they're telling me.
Well, but their parents are bringing them in to see you, and it's well known what you do. So maybe they're upset because their parents are giving them a hard time about being gay. There are plenty of gay kids out there who are perfectly happy
let me ask
and
you a
well-adjusted.
question. So let me ask you a question. How do we know that for sure? You know that only one way for sure. You ask the client. The client rules.
In this case, let's just stick with the law.
Wait a minute. We don't let parents. No. We don't. No.
Sir, with all due respect, this is my show.
No.
You're a guest on my show. My question to you finally is simply that this is regarding minors. This isn't adults. So adults can still continue to come to you and seek out this particular reparative therapy. Really, my final question is, because I hear you vehemently opposed to this legislation, this law, are you going to challenge it?
Yes, we are, but you just evaded the question here. The question that you asked was, do we force parents? Let me talk. Are you going to let me talk?
Would you answer my question?
Okay. Okay. Well, yes, I'd be happy to if you let me answer the questions you've already asked. So the question you asked first was, do we force clients in this therapy based on what their parents say? Absolutely not. We prevent parents from doing that. We recommend they don't get therapy for that. Now to your second question. What was it again?
My question is, will you be challenging the law?
Yes, we're announcing today, and you are, maybe to your benefit, the first television station to note that NARTH, the National Association for Research on Therapy of Homosexuality, is filing a major lawsuit. We have also individual therapists and individual minor clients who are now plaintiffs signed up for the lawsuit, and it will be filed with Liberty Counsel this week.
There we go. David Pickup will follow up with you and Elizabeth Cohen. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Obviously,
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.